Imagine the Eurasian steppe, the sun beats down, wind whips across the grasslands. This is the domain of the Cumans. Welcome to Cryptic Mystic Vault, where we dive deep into the hidden history of human civilization. They emerge from the dust clouds, a force of nature on horseback. These are not mere barbarians. They are the Cuman-Kipchaks, masters of war and fate for centuries. Their story is one of thunderous charges and whispered legends. They are the forgotten superpower of the steppes. Their impact on medieval Europe was profound. Let us unearth their tale. The Cumans were a Turkic people. They exploded onto the stage of history in the 10th century. They swept westward, conquering and assimilating. They joined forces with the Kipchaks, another nomadic group. This union forged the Cuman-Kipchak Confederation. It was a force to be reckoned with. Their domain stretched from the Volga River to the Carpathian Mountains. This was Cumania, a vast empire of the steppes. It was a land of horses and herds, of tents and yurts, but it was also a land of warriors. The Cuman-Kipchak warriors were renowned for their equestrian skills. They were masters of the bow and arrow. They could ride and fire with deadly accuracy. The steppes were a crucible. Tribes clashed and merged. Only the strong survived. The Cumans and Kipchaks understood this. They forged a powerful alliance. It was based on shared language and customs. They were bound by the harsh realities of nomadic life. The Cuman-Kipchak Confederation was born. It was a loose alliance but powerful. It was led by Khans, fierce warlords. They commanded loyalty through strength and courage. They expanded their territories through relentless raiding and warfare. They clashed with settled societies. Byzantines, Russians, Hungarians all felt the sting of Cuman raids. But the Cumans were not mindless raiders. They were shrewd strategists. They understood the value of alliances. They would fight as mercenaries for the highest bidder. They played empires against each other. They amassed wealth and influence. The Cuman-Kipchak military was a marvel of its time. They were masters of mounted warfare. They were the heirs of a long tradition. They were the descendants of the Scythians and Huns. They terrified their enemies. They would appear on the horizon, a swarm of horsemen. They could vanish just as quickly. Their primary weapon was the composite bow. It was a masterpiece of engineering. It was made of wood, horn, and sinew. It could fire arrows with incredible force and accuracy. The Cuman warriors were deadly archers. They could hit a target at full gallop. They trained from childhood. They lived in the saddle. But they were not just archers. They were masters of psychological warfare. They would feign retreats. They would lure enemies into ambushes. They were masters of the steppe. Their tactics were unpredictable. They struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. The Cumans cast a long shadow. Their influence stretched far and wide. They were players on the grand stage of medieval politics. They were both allies and enemies. They raided and traded with the Byzantine Empire. They served as mercenaries in their armies. They clashed with the Kievan Rus. They fought alongside and against them. They were a constant threat and a valuable ally. They influenced the development of Russian military tactics. They left their mark on the Russian language and culture. They played a pivotal role in Hungarian history. King Ladislaus I granted refuge to fleeing Cumans. They were fleeing the Mongols. They were allowed to settle in Hungary. They integrated into Hungarian society. They influenced Hungarian military traditions and culture. Their legacy is still visible today. The Mongol Empire emerged from the east. It was a new power, hungry for conquest. It was led by Genghis Khan. He was a ruthless and brilliant strategist. He united the Mongol tribes. He unleashed them upon the world. The Cumans were in the path of this storm. The Battle of Kalka River in 1223 was a disaster for the Cumans. They were crushed by the Mongol war machine. It was the beginning of the end for the Cuman-Kipchak Confederation. Some Cumans fled westward. They sought refuge in Hungary and other European kingdoms. Others were absorbed into the Mongol ranks. They became part of the Mongol war machine. They turned their skills against their former enemies. The Mongol conquest marked the end of an era. It shattered the power of the Cumans, but it did not erase their legacy. The Cumans might be gone, but they are not forgotten. Their genetic legacy lives on. It can be found in the populations of Eastern Europe. It is present in Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. Their cultural influence is subtle but pervasive. Their nomadic traditions influenced the Mongols. Their military tactics were adopted by the Ottomans. Their language, Cuman, survives in fragments. It is preserved in historical documents. It offers glimpses into their culture and way of life. The Cumans were a vibrant and dynamic people. They left an indelible mark on the course of history. They were the forgotten superpower of the steppes. Their story is a reminder. The steppes were not an empty space. They were a crucible of cultures. They were a source of both conflict and exchange. The Cumans were masters of this world. They were warriors, traders, and diplomats. They left their mark on the world. Let us not forget them. Imagine a world where the Cumans had successfully resisted the Mongol invasion. Their dominance in the steppes would have continued, potentially altering the power dynamics in medieval Europe. The Cumans could have formed stronger alliances with European kingdoms, influencing battles and territorial disputes. Their unique culture and military strategies might have been more deeply integrated into European warfare, possibly delaying or even preventing the rise of certain empires. This alternate history would see a more fragmented and diverse Europe, with the Cumans playing a pivotal role in shaping its destiny. In this imagined scenario, the Cuman cavalry would have become a symbol of resistance and power. Their swift movements and tactical prowess would have been emulated by European knights and soldiers. The steppes, once a battleground, would have transformed into a center of cultural and economic exchange. Trade routes would flourish, and the Cuman influence would extend far beyond their traditional territories. The political landscape of Europe would be vastly different. Kingdoms that once relied on the Cumans as mercenaries might have found themselves as allies, forging stronger bonds against common foes. The balance of power would shift, creating a Europe that is not dominated by a few empires but characterized by a tapestry of diverse cultures and alliances. This alternate history serves as a reminder of the impact that the Cumans could have had on the world stage. It is a testament to their resilience and adaptability. The Cumans were not just a forgotten superpower of the steppes, they were a force that could have changed the course of history. Let us imagine and remember the legacy they could have left behind. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more explorations into the symbols that shape our world.